chat, why don't you put what city you're from? I think you all know that. I think we can show the chats. Is that correct? Oh, yeah, we can. Great. Athens, Tennessee. I think you all know that I'm in Los Angeles, California. Where else is everyone from? Baltimore. Oh, Brooklyn. Dallas. I'll be in Dallas in a couple days. Long Island. Birmingham. That's cool. North Carolina. I'll be in North Carolina too in a few days. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me close this up and get this right here. So this is part 2 of part 1. I did part 1 about 2 weeks ago, and that was the first part of year-end fundraising. And this is the second part, the final part. And so this is how you finish strong. So we want to maximize our giving and build donor loyalty. So it's going to go into January a little bit. So what we're going to cover today is the final 3 weeks of the game plan. We're going to talk about worship and pulpit giving scripts and gratitude and donor retention systems. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of going into January. We're also going to talk about staying visual, why it matters, common mistakes to avoid, and again, January momentum plan. And that's to keep it going year round. Now, I want to do a quick poll. How are you feeling right now about your year-end campaign today? Are you feeling strong? That's A. A little behind, B. C, which is not where I'd hoped. And then D, need this session to finish strong. Please put that in the chat so we can kind of see where we are. Hopefully you guys have started your year-end. Okay. B and D. Okay. All right, great. Well, at least some of you have started it, and that's good. That's good. Okay, good. So we'll go on from that premise. Now, you should be live, as I mentioned before already. So you should already be doing things, and you're now entering into the giving sweet spot. This is the most generous part of the year. So what's important today is we're going to go over execution, gratitude, consistency, and momentum. Now, this you have to remember is the final giving window of the year. This is the most important 3 weeks out of the year in terms of fundraising for all nonprofits and all churches nationally. So let's try to take the advantage of this and raise as much money as we can for the needed programs. So this is going to be your biggest surge in terms of giving throughout the year. Now, step 1 is the final 3 weeks game plan. So we're going to talk about story. We're going to do a little bit about emotion, urgency, gratitude, and staying visual daily. These are really important, and this is what's going to carry you through to the first of the year. Now, this is the week of December 14th through the 20th. So again, story and gratitude. So you want to send one impact story through email, through your database. So you're going to talk about whatever you're raising money for. You're going to want to write a little story, a little impact story on one of the beneficiaries, maybe one of the staff members, someone that has benefited from what you're raising funds for. And then you also want to post a testimonial on social media. So you want to talk about some individual, again, that has benefited from the funds that you are raising. On Sunday, you're going to talk a little bit about a story So you're going to have a story-based giving moment, and I'm going to send you information on how to do that. But you're going to when you ask during your or do the portion of your asking for the gifts or the donations, you're going to tell a little bit of a story, and then it's going to flow into your ask. And you want to highlight, as I mentioned before, the lives that have been transformed by the funds that are being raised. And remember, I'm going to keep reminding you of this. You have to say these gifts are above and beyond your normal giving. And you're going to express gratitude at every touch point. And this thing, it sounds a little more complicated than it really is. I'm just giving you all the information, but it's not that complicated. The following week, which is going to be the 21st to the 27th, that's when you're going to talk about worship during Christmas. So you're going to talk about giving in the Christmas spirit. So it's going to be sort of wrapping it into the holiday. You're going to use visuals, so maybe choir, children, families that are being supported. Again, you're going to use your Sunday giving moment. You're going to ask the congregation to pray about their gifts. So you want them to ask God how much they should be supporting the programs that you're talking about. And then on Christmas Eve, you're going to have a giving moment as well, if you are having church on Christmas Eve. And again, once again, above and beyond their normal giving. And you're going to share a Christmas blessing story. And then the last few days, which is the 28th through the 31st, that's the final countdown. These 4 days, it's really going to be the 3 days, but these 4 days are the biggest days of the year. So you need to be bold. You need to communicate daily. You need to post countdown reminders, and you have to have the running total every day. You have to let people know where you are in terms of the funds that you are raising. And you want to keep messages short and clear, but you want to make sure that you're staying present. And again, above and beyond what their normal giving. And the reason why I keep stressing that is you don't want them to be taking the funds that they normally give to the church and defer them to a program outside, because then you have a gap in your overhead. So that's why you want to say above and beyond your normal giving. Now, transparency is what drives engagement. So you really want to make sure you're letting your congregation know what's happening. So you're going to share everything, the progress publicly. You're going to update the running total daily, and you want to celebrate milestones. So if you're saying you want to raise $25,000 and you hit 15, and that was one of your milestones, you want to celebrate that. You want to show the percentage towards the goal, how close you're getting to the goal, and you want to acknowledge every donor wave. So as soon as you get a group of donors, if there's maybe 30 donors give at one time or one big gift, you want to really celebrate that and tell them the truth. You want to let them know where you are in the goals that you set at the beginning of the month. Hope that makes sense. Now, this is really where the rubber meets the road, the last 3 days. And so you really want to lean in, as I said before. So you're going to do morning text, running total, midday email with a story or impact, evening social post countdown. And remember, these are really powerful. So and you're not, you're only doing this for 3 days out of 365 days. So don't feel like you're inundating your congregation. You're not. This is the last 3 to 4 days of the year, and so you're just pushing for the campaign to end strong. And it's not like you are asking them to send funds to something that's not going to make a difference. You're asking people to support something that actually matters. So having this cadence is completely okay. You're doing good work here. So you just want to make sure you're consistent these last 3 days. And so you want to do some social media posts, countdown graphic, countdown to, January 1st or the 31st, because you want the gifts to come in before then. Or you can have people pledge, but you still want the gifts to come in if you can. And you want to celebrate donors, and always, always above and beyond what you're normally giving. Now, we're going to talk about speaking in the pulpit and the worship scripts. I'm going to send you some talking points, some templates that you'll be able to use. So Sunday year and giving script, I'm going to send you that. I'm going to send you Christmas week script. And I'm also going to send you watch night for a New Year's Eve script in case you are having service on New Year's Eve. And, when I was going to church, it seemed like we lived there. It seemed like we were there more than we were at home. So that's why I wanted to include these. We were there for Christmas Eve. We were there for, we had an early Christmas service. We were there for New Year's Eve. And then, so I'm sending you all these so you can use these. And they need to be short, warm, pastoral, and effective. And so you should, the templates will help you. Sunday giving moment script structure. So again, you're going to have a template, but it needs to be warm gratitude. You want to be speaking from a place of warmth. It should be a quick story. Your ask needs to be very clear, again, above and beyond, and you want to show progress. You want to say, our goal was $25,000. We're now at 15. I really want to thank everybody for supporting our program so far. We only have $10,000 to go, and tell them, and even if they've given already, you can ask them to ask God, should you give more? I mean, again, we're not trying to pressure them. Don't lean too heavily on them, but they can ask for more, and make sure that you are maximizing this time of the year. So it's okay to ask people that have already given as well. I've done that multiple times and have gotten more support when you ask them again. So it's okay to do that. And then just keep the giving directions extremely simple. QR code, short link, just simple. So you just want to make things very simple. And step 2, there's 4 keys to finishing strong. And that's being visual. You would really want to make sure you're in their face. That's why I was talking about email, social media, posting on the websites, sending all these things. You want to stay visual because they're going to be getting a lot of advertisement outside. So you have to make sure that you stay visual. You want to stay emotional. You want to stay urgent, and you want to make it very, very easy for them to support you. So just make sure you're doing these 4 key steps these last few days of the year, and you will be, I think, pleasantly surprised at how much more money you have raised for your programs versus last year. And on top of that, it's not just the amount of funds that you've raised versus last year. The difference also will be your donors, your congregants will be far more engaged, and they will sort of approach, if you continue this, they will sort of approach giving to the church in a more, what's the word? Philanthropic way. They will enjoy it more, I would say. They will, because they will see where their money is going. You're giving them a running total. You're letting them know what's happening. When you give to something like that and you're being communicated to, they embrace it more. And so your donors, I'm not just, telling you guys this and doing this presentation. Our clients are currently doing this right now. And as a matter of fact, I sent out a couple of texts yesterday to some of our clients asking, how did Sunday go? $14,000 up, versus last year for that Sunday, not for the first couple of weeks, but for that Sunday. So, and I'm asking them also, what is the what's the feedback you're getting from the congregation? They're saying they're engaged, that they're much more pleasant about it. So this is something that you should be doing, and it's something that will help you deliver more on your mission, but it's also something that's going to draw your congregation in more to support your mission. It's just a win-win. So make sure you do these things. So visibility, emotion, urgency, and ease. Now, being visual. And so don't feel like you're inundating your congregation. This is what you're supposed to be doing, because they're going to be getting bombarded with all sorts of things. So these are the things you need to do for this last home stretch, because people forget things quickly. And so you need to stay in front of them, because they're out shopping. They're trying to get ready for the holidays. They're trying to prepare dinner. They're trying to get people coming in. It's a lot going on. So you have to stay relevant and in front of their faces. So you want to do things on Sunday during service, social media, emails, texts, and screens. So you really want to make sure that you are doing these things. Your voice must stay present during these last 3 days. And emotion. You want to start with gratitude. Gratitude is probably one of my favorite emotions, and so be grateful for their support, and be grateful that you're in a position to help deliver on a mission that's making the world a better place. I mean, how lucky are we to be doing this work? So be grateful. And that's just such a great emotion to have. It can carry you through a lot. So be grateful when you're speaking to your congregation about this program support. Tell stories. Talk about how their support is making a difference, and it leads into impact. Show the difference that their support is making. And then you can use names and faces with people's permission. Make sure you get their permission, but use names and faces so people can actually see it. And numbers matter, don't get me wrong, but people remember stories. That's what they remember. So emotion opens the heart and moves generosity, which leads to you delivering more and more on your mission, which is what you're called to do. Urgency. And you need to, and the urgency part is usually the most challenging for us, in what we do. And the reason it's challenging is we're not salesmen. So we don't, you have 5 hours to get this, we're not used to doing that. But it's important because we're trying to do this by the end of the year. So you have to remind people that we need to raise this money by December 31st. And that's because that's what we're trying to do for the end of the year. We're trying to hit a goal at the end of the year to support the individuals that need the support. So we're almost there. You need to keep reminding them and keep track of the gifts. Keep showing where we are in terms of funds raised. Urgency drives action. So just remember that. So keep saying we only have until December 31st to do this. So we need you all to step up and above and beyond what you're normally giving. So urgency helps. And you want to, as I said before, you really want to make this easy. You don't want people to have to be searching around on your website. You don't want to have these very confusing links, unclear instructions. You really want to make people make it easy for people to support you. A lot of times, and I know some of you are aware of this. A lot of times, there's something you want to buy. Say there's a pair of shoes. You running shoes. You want them. You go to the website. You can't find your size. You can't find how to pay for them. There's all these other charges. There's all these other things that are being added to it. They want you to sign up for these emails, and it's all this. It's not easy, and so sometimes I'll do it later, and you never go back. So you really want to make sure Giving to these programs are extremely easy. So QR codes, short links, very clear instructions, and be repetitive. Let people know how they can give. I'm going to take a quick sip. Now, next, we're going to talk about step 3, gratitude and donor retention. Now, we talked about gratitude before, but this is kind of ending the year with gratitude and bringing the donors into the next year with the same spirit of giving. Because I'm assuming you're here because you haven't really done things like this too often, and so what you're doing is you are conditioning or educating your donors in a way showing how their gifts make a difference. And you don't want to just do that the last month out of the year and then just go back to passing the plate, doing all these other things. Excuse me. You want to continue with this line of communication, line of gratitude, and line of support. So, this is where one time and infrequent givers become long-term consistent supporters. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, what you want to do is you really want to be a thank you machine. You want to let people know you appreciate their support. So you need to set up systems. So as soon as a gift comes in, you need to thank them, especially if it's online. That's something that you can set up electronically. You want to set that up so that you receive a same day thank you. And whatever, depending on the size of your congregation and the size of the gift, you're going to want to have personal notes or even texts from the pastor, letting people know that we appreciate their support. That's really important. And that's one of the things that churches don't do, many of them. And so I'm trying to bring you into sort of the modern fundraising error, and that is what hospitals, that's what universities, that's what other nonprofits do. So we really need, in fact, our client base, they have 24 to 48 hours to thank their donors. So you need to do that. And I don't mean thanking the general congregation. I mean individual donors at a certain level from the pastor, general letters from a certain level below that. So whatever that is, maybe it's 5,000, maybe it's 2,000, whatever that is, depending on your church. They get special notes from the pastor, but below that, they should at least get a thank you letter for their gift, no matter what the amount is, and saying what the amount is and saying what it applied to. And that will, if you continue to do this throughout the year, you will see this time next year, you will probably raise between a third to 40% more than what you raised before. When I started at the nonprofit, the first year I was there, I think we were raising about 1.5 million. My first year there, we raised 2 million. The next year, 2.7. The next year, 3.8. I mean, we just started, and it was just these systems that we put in place. And so you started it in December. We're going to carry it on to January all throughout the year. So you want to include, again, the running total and the thank you message during the final week. Gratitude scripts, very, very important that you sort of have an idea of what you want to say. So you want to thank them for giving above and beyond their normal giving. Again, that line, I don't want you guys to be in a situation where you raise all this money, but you can't use it to keep the lights on. So I want to make sure you still have that. And you want to say your gift, your donation, put the amount, has helped us finish the year strong, and the impact of every life we reached. And then you'll say something like, here's where we totaled our total giving. And then you'll say, thank you for helping us get closer every day. And so you just sort of want to make sure that you're connecting their donation to the impact. So they just often they'll just give a gift and you say, thank you for your gift. And that's it. But you want to get the amount, you want to say what the total amount was, and then you want to show who was affected by their giving, and then that makes them want to give back. I mean, and just think about it. You know, when you give something, you're supposed to give and not really expect anything in return. That's biblical. But also, remember, when you do something for someone, when you donate something for someone and they thank you for it and it's heartfelt, it really makes you want to do it again. It really makes you want to be a part of that solution. And so we really want to make it so your congregation knows you truly appreciate, and the people that are receiving the support appreciate it. And this, again, this is what hospitals and universities do, and why they raise hundreds of millions of dollars. This simple system, which churches, again, don't really do. So I'm really just showing you how to do that. So really lean into your gratitude, or stewardship is what it might be called in church. Same thing. So the January impact report, deliver that mid January. And that's just going to be photos. It's sort of a mini annual report. You have some testimonials, final amount raised, show what your gifts made possible, and thank them enough. And then you want to talk about what you're going to do next. Again, you started this. We started this in December. Why would we stop if it's going to help us deliver more on our mission in the community by showing exactly what we're raising money for, giving the impact, showing the testimonials, thanking them, and then moving on to a larger project or the same project, but more support. And so that's what we're doing. Now, we're going to talk about some common mistakes. But before we do that, let me ask, are there any questions? Because I don't want to, I'm moving a little fast. I just want to make sure that I'm answering any questions. So if there's any questions, let's put them in the chat room. And I'll take a moment because we're a little ahead of time. So are there any specific questions on year-end giving of what we've covered so far? Put them in the chat and I'll try to address them. Any questions at all? None? Okay, so we'll keep it going. It looks like you guys are all students of the industry. Oh, students of the industry. Okay, so the common mistakes to avoid. As I was saying to you before, many of you may feel like we're inundating our congregation with the emails, the social media, the texts, the letters, but you're really not. And so one of the mistakes you may make is not following along and getting quiet. And what's going to happen is something else is going to take that place. And so they're going to give support to something else, which is okay, but it's not going to come to the church. So don't stay quiet, and only sending one or two emails. Send the emails in the cadence that I sent you. I think we put together a cadence last week that we emailed out. Make sure you follow that. If at the last three, you should be sending an email, social media, once a day on the last 3 days of the year, showing progress. Very important. And probably the most important thing on here is not saying thank you to individual supporters. That's probably the biggest mistake that most people make. And then, a massive one, of course, is not letting people know it's above and beyond. And the last one is not showing the running total. Show the running total. It lets people know that you're being transparent. The biggest mistakes, stopping to communicate too early and not showing the running total. But I would add, not saying thank you is a massive mistake. Silence kills generosity. It simply does. Once you stop communicating, guess what? The generosity is going to follow along with that. Examples. As I mentioned before, I'm working with 3 churches now that are going through year-end giving campaigns. In fact, I have a meeting, follow-up meeting today to see where they are, and I watch them too. You guys probably don't know this, but I watch. All of our churches are online and they stream. And so on Sundays, I'm sitting here watching our ministers during their services, and I watch their Sunday ask. And so then when I meet with them, I say, you did really great here, but you could have said this, or you did that, or you did fantastic, that's great, or you didn't thank them, or blah blah blah. So I watch and I sort of critique them, so I sort of know what's going on. But again, they're following the scripts. They're posting daily. Or in the right cadence yet. We're not in the last few weeks yet. They're sharing running totals. They're telling stories. They're going to be texting the last 72 days, and they are celebrating, individual donors. And so they're successful. The numbers are going up and up and up, and they're telling me this is great. Why didn't we do this last year, kind of a thing. So the ministries, you're going to be raising between 20 and 50% of your goal this final week. So the final week, I should say. So you really need to lean into the cadences and the communications and making sure you're finished strong. Step 4, the January momentum plan. And again, as I mentioned to you before, it's truly important for you to not stop this, but to continue this throughout the year. And so January is your momentum, and you can solidify how you raise funds throughout the year. You don't have to do it as concentrated as you're doing now for December. It won't be like that, but you will be doing a certain cadence and looking for opportunities to raise funds above and beyond throughout the year. And this is what we're going to help you do. So again, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about gratitude. So you're going to send thank you emails, some handwritten notes to higher end donations. You want to celebrate publicly, but make sure you get permission. If you're using individuals' names, share the final and then thank donors again. You constantly want to thank donors. Does anyone know the number of times you're supposed to thank a donor throughout the year? Does anyone know that? There's an industry standard. Very good. Yeah, 7 is actually right. You're supposed to thank donors 7 times a year. So that's Daryl. Daryl must have read something or come to one of our things, but it's 7 times a year. But 12 is actually a better number because you want to do it at least once a month. So 7 is a minimum. So that's why we put together monthly mailers normally for our clients so that they go out every month. So we thank them 12 times a year. But Daryl is correct. A minimum is 7 times. Okay. So your impact story in January. So you want to put together a nice story that you are going to want to do a little bit of an interview. So you want to talk about how all of this money that you've raised has supported the program or programs that you've raised the funds for. So you want to do an interview, write up a little bit about what the money has supported and the impact that it's made, and then at the bottom of the one pager, you want to say, "Thank you for your support. This would not have been possible if it were not for you." That's really important. And you're not asking for a gift in that thank you note. You're not putting a remittance letter in that. You're simply thanking the donors. And as Daryl said, we're going to do this minimum 7 times. There will be other times every Sunday you can ask them for support of the programs. In these letters, or these 12 to 7, 7 to 12, you're not asking for support. You're simply thanking them. So leave it at that. So you want to you put a quote in there, and you also want to email this and post to do that. And this is a very powerful thing. This is something that I do on a monthly basis, and all of our clients do it. We have them send it out. Um, a quick story. I started doing this 30 years ago when I was hired. My boss made me do it, and he would make me write them over and over again. It was a one pager, and I moved on, and became vice president, senior vice president, and doing all this other stuff. And one gentleman gave us $10,000, $5,000, sorry, and we put him on our a monthly mailer list. And he ended up, I think I told this story before, he ended up giving us $500,000. And he wouldn't call us back, but he was receiving our monthly mailer, our 7 to 12 thank you notes, as I mentioned before. And I finally met with him over lunch. I cornered him and said, I've been trying to reach out to you for 2 years now, and you just end up giving us $500,000. I'm like, why did you do that? We appreciate it, but it's I've been reading about you, the incredible work. He was receiving the monthly mailers, the impact stories that we sent out once a month. So what you might want to do is go to our website and look for our monthly mailer template in there. I think there's a monthly mailer template. It's one of the most powerful things that we do, but it's the 7 to 12 thank yous, and we're sending those out. So anyway, so make sure you start doing these things on a regular basis, a monthly basis. Minimum is what I would say. It can be 7 is the minimum industry standard, but for our clients, 12 is the industry minimum. And in late January, your first campaign of the year, you can do another one. So you can look for different options. MLK week, my favorite is Black History, or you can do Lent, but look for things that make sense, go along with your mission, and go along with the holiday that you are connecting it to. And you do the same thing. You don't do it as frequent, but you're going to do, like a countdown. You'll have a goal, just like we did here, and then you'll push it on through, and you'll raise more money for your particular programs. And then, so here's the cadence that you might want to look at. So 30, 60, 90, 6. So you might want to do so every 30 days, maybe 60 days, 6 months. You can pick, one of these things on how you do. We do every 30 days or every 90 days, somewhere in between there is what we do. So it's every sort of 2 months, 3 1 month, 2 months is what we sort of do in terms of the particular programs that we've elected to focus on for the year. So every touch equals story, gratitude, and impact. So it's really important. So again, this is going to be for your monthly mailers. Okay, you want to make sure, as I said before, that you're staying visual. That's imperative. Fundraising is not begging, it's inviting. It really is. You're not begging is when you're asking for support for yourself or something personal. This is for the community. This is for something bigger than you. And so it's far from begging. It's inviting to be a part of something bigger, something more meaningful. Now, a lot of you, as I mentioned last 2 weeks ago, ask what is it that we do. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of information of what NFM does, nonprofit fundraising management, the problem and the guide. And the problem with most ministries or nonprofits is they're doing incredible work. They're doing important work, but they don't have a fundraising system that keeps their funds coming in reliably. And your church has a calling, but what do you do if you don't have the funds? And so that's what we do. We help you fund your programs. So we are the guide that helps you um, achieve the mission that you're called to do. So we focus on African American churches and African American nonprofits. And what we do is we teach them modern fundraising that's repeatable, that's trackable, that has is quantitative as well as qualitative, and you're able to do this every year, and your donations go up and up and up. We put together a simple plan. It's a simple path. All you have to do is talk with us, choose a plan, and we'll help you build your ministry through funds that we help you raise. And so you can just book a call. Let us fully help you fund your ministry. That's what we do. And so there's something in the chat that you can click, and you can schedule a call with us. And we don't try to push our services. We're not that way. What we try to do is usually what we're doing is we're helping more than we are having people buy our services. We look at what it is you're doing. We ask you a bunch of questions. We give you some suggestions, and then we sort of will help you go in whatever direction that you are trying to go. And these are the sections that we will help all denominations. But once we start working with you, we only work with African American churches and African American focused nonprofits. That's what our calling is. And what we do, the results and the call to action is we help you with more funding. You have much more impact, far less stress because we're doing most of the work, and we help your missions thrive. So funding doesn't have to be confusing or stressful. You just need a clear plan or a coach. Final engagement. You have everything that you need to be successful and finish strong. So make sure that you stay visible, stay grateful, and stay consistent. You can do this. You can raise more money than you ever raised in December, and people will be happy that you did it. So here's the last moves. Prepare for your Christmas Eve script. Prepare for your 72-hour reminder, and send your impact story this week. And lastly, what we want you to do is email us and tell us how well you did for your year-end campaign. We really want to know. Here's our email address right here, info@wearenfm.com. Let us know if we helped you. We really want to know, because this is what we do for free for the community to try to help ourselves move into independence, to where we're not relying on anyone else but ourselves as a community, as an African American community. So let us know if we helped you and if there's something else that we can do to help you. We really do want to know. And are there any questions in the chat room? So put any questions that you might have in the chat. Yes, we will send you the deck. Daryl, we will definitely send you. We'll send you both of them. The one that we had last week, and we'll send you the one that we are doing today. And what's funny is, some of the people that we present, we go to conferences, and people ask us to send the deck, and a lot of times the facilitators won't send them the deck. So that's your material. We don't necessarily want you to, people to steal your stuff. But we feel like the more people that have this information in our community, the better we're going to be and the more powerful we're going to be. We're already powerful, but we can be more powerful. And so share this information. When we send you these decks and this information, these templates, – don't keep them yourself. Share them. And Daryl, you put your email. We already have your email, so we're gonna send it. We're gonna send it to you. So don't worry about that. We're gonna send them to everybody. So, but share this information. Don't just take it, sit on it, and use it for yourself. Share it to some of your other colleagues that are doing this good work. They don't have to be all Black, but make sure you're sharing it with African American communities, that because that's what we're here for. Are there any other questions? You're welcome, Joyce. Are there any other questions? We have about 14 minutes. And if there's anything that I could cover, I would love to do that. Let me know what we can do for you. And also make sure you check out um, our website and see what it is we're doing. See how we can help you do what you're doing. You can use the QR code that connects you to my contact information. But our website is wearenfm.com. And then if you want to get on my calendar and schedule a 15-minute conversation with me, usually they last longer, go to wearenfm.com/contacts, and I'll get on the phone with you. It'll be over Zoom, and we'll talk about what your challenges are or your opportunities are, and we will help you get to the next level that you'd like to get to. Is there anything else that we can help you all with? Any questions at all or comments? You guys are a quiet bunch. Give you another couple more minutes. Well, while we're waiting, what I'm going to do is I am going to share my screen. Stop share. And I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you what services we have on our website. So let me try to share. We'll see if this works. I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing it on here. No, it's not working. I'm sorry. I would have tried to do that, but it doesn't look like it's working. Let's see. What is the response to Deborah's question? Where is Deborah's question? Oh, here we are. How do leaders know when they're communicating too much versus not enough, especially when donors who don't respond? Oh, I see. Okay. They're really, uh, so let me answer it in a different way. One way to know if you're communicating too much is they'll tell you, they'll tell you, yeah, I'm receiving a lot of emails, and they'll sort of smile at you. But what I like to do is at the end of every year, we would do a bit of a survey, and we would ask, how do you like the communications from our institution? And compare this along with the other nonprofits that you support. And we would do this every year. We would do it like around January. And we use it as an excuse to have lunch with some of our biggest donors. And consistently, we were considered the best communicators of all of the donors that we worked with some, donors that gave millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. So they were receiving communications from universities, hospitals, other massive nonprofits. We were this tiny little school in the middle of Watts, and we sent out something once a month. The monthly mail that I mentioned to you. We sent out the an e-newsletter once a month, and that was pretty much it. And we sent thank you notes and stuff like that. But that's not really, you're thanking people because they donated some money, or if there was an event, we would send them that. But they consistently said that they loved our communications and that we were their favorite charity because of the way that we communicated. So, long answer to your question is ask your donors. Are we sending too much information? Are we sending too little information? What would you like to see more? What would you like to see less? And ask them, and then take their information and use it and thank them for it as you make your adjustments. So whenever you have a question, ask your donors. They'll tell you. Yeah, and they'll tell you, because really what donors do is they tell you how to be most effective to them. That's what they're saying to you. So you're basically asking them, how can we be more effective? Good question. Any other questions? One thing that we didn't really go over is individual donors, because what you're doing here is you're actually asking your congregation to give to a group project. So you're asking them during the sermon, or during Sundays, I should say. But when you really are looking at trying to raise significant dollars, you talk to individual donors. And that's not what we covered here, because this is year end. And so it's different. So at some point, we will be doing, a lunch and learn on individual donors. That's where you really raise a lot of money. So I just want you to be aware of that. Oh, here's another. There are two other questions too. Did I miss? There's some other. What other questions? Um, I don't see any other questions. There are any. Oh, is there any recommended giving platform that helps you quickly send? Oh, okay. The one that we're working with right now, some of them have, positive, um, and some of the, each one does well in one area and not so well in other areas. The one that we're working with now is Cosvox. They do pretty well. PushPay does pretty well. Give Butter is a pretty good one as well. Give Butter is interesting in that they don't charge you. What they do is they ask your donors if they would like to support the the processing fee, and so they are supported by the supporters. So that one's interesting as well. But those are really good ones. PushPay, Cosvox, Give Butter. Those are pretty powerful ones. And if you want to really get robust, donor Connect is a good one. Donor Perfect is a good one. Razor's Edge is a little bit more than you need. But interestingly enough, they don't separate donor information well enough. So we're actually having one created by Cosvox that helps pastors write down information that others can't see, so pastors can stay current with the donors. But Cosvox, Give Butter, and PushPay are good uh, platforms or CRMs. Any other questions or comments? Any others? Any other questions? I'm glad you thought that was helpful. Let me see if I can share. I'll try to share my screen one more time, see if it comes up. There's a new, let's see. It did come up. Okay. Just quickly, this is our services, what we do. A lot of people ask us. So we have 4 programs that we primarily focus on. A 5th one is coming online. Our seed program is our entry program, and this is basically where you come in with a group of about 10 other churches, African American churches, and we meet you where you are. We work on your programs together as a group. We show you how to fundraise, to develop systems. And this lasts, it's about $500. It lasts about 6 months, 3 to 6 months. And then it moves you in. So what happens is it moves your giving up. And then you move into our Jubilee program, which is an individual program that focuses specifically on a program to grow that program. So say if the program is bringing in about, say, 25,000 a year, you want to push it up to 50 to 100. This is what this program does. And then we have our full pack. This is, by the way, that's about $2,000. But from this program, the seed program, you should be raising that from this program to get you to this program. Each program funds the other program. That's the way we've designed it. So when you come in at $500, you then start raising, well over $2,000 in additional, well over that. So you can come in on this program. Then once you've mastered this program, we get you to this level. And this is where we're running your entire fundraising department, everything from your gala to your special events, to your major gifts, which is what I talked about, your individual giving, as well as your general giving, and on and on and on. And then we also do board development, where we support the growth of your board, renew your board, review your board, and change your board. We're going through that with 2 of our clients right now. So anyway, that's what we do. And you can find all this information on our website. Okay, let's see. Great. What about asking for donations for non-members, community leaders? That's, as long as your programs, that's very easy to do. You just become connected to them as long as you have a connection to them. And as long as you're not raising funds for the church only. In other words, if you're not raising funds for a new sanctuary, or I don't know, swimming pool for the church or something like that, as long as it's community focused, facing, like a food bank, or say an after school program, or a helping to support a affordable housing, you can ask any individual to support your programs. No question. Why should you, why not? You're doing something for the community. So as long as the program that you're asking for support is for the community facing, go ask them. Okay. You're welcome. Deborah, please suggest the best CRM for follow-up. Yeah, I think I did. It all depends on what you're working with now. Again, the 3 that I named, PushPay for churches, CauseVox for nonprofits, and GiveButter, those 3 are good. You're welcome, Juanita. Thank everybody. Thank you, everyone, for the coming to the session, and we really appreciate you coming. And I really, really hope this helped. And please send us an email and let us know how your year-end fundraising campaign went. We would love to hear, and then let us know how we can help. And then check our website out. See if we can help you deliver on your mission. You guys have a great Friday, and we look forward to seeing you at our next Lunch and Learn. And make sure you come to our next session. We have someone that's amazing. Dr. Raquel Martin is coming to to our next lunch and learn. And she has over, I think, 1.5 million followers on social media. She's a sister. She is a psychologist. She's a therapist, and she focuses only on African American individuals. And she's just incredible. You're not gonna want to miss this. So make sure you come to our next lunch and learn. We'll be sending some promotionals out, so you'll be able to see it. Have a great Friday, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.